Hi, David O'Brien, Team O'Brien Real Estate, Marin County, California. So the purpose of this video is to just get you into the know of purchasing a home here in Marin County, just to be helpful, to give you some intel. And my hope is that with the intel and the information, that it keeps the stress level a little bit down for you, because it is stressful purchasing a home. So that's my goal. So typically somebody comes in and they're 3 months to 9 months out. That's the typical time frame. Sometimes we get somebody and they'll buy in 45 days. Typically that's because they're doing a rent back on their home that they've already sold, or their home's being sold and they're renting, and so they just need to get out of that lease and they don't want to get into another one. Those folks will have a shorter time frame sometimes, but typically it's 3 months to 9 months. So you're doing that process. You don't want to get approved with the lender. We understand, in your initial stages, but when you do, we would encourage you to get approved with a local lender, a local direct lender, or if you're going to go to an institutional lender like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, then a local loan officer. The reason being is because it's a highly competitive market here in Marin County. And so if the listing agent sees that you're approved with a loan officer that they know, then they're going to feel better about your offer. They're going to feel more like you're rock solid. There's too many horror stories about somebody using somebody from Missouri or Delaware or somewhere outside of the state, and they just run on a different clock than we do here. So their clock is typically 45 days to close, 30 days to remove loan contingencies, 21 days to remove appraisal contingencies. Well, here in Marin, it's usually we're closing in 21 to 25 days. So that's part of the reason too. So then the type of home, the target property that you're looking for, you'll want to figure that out. Location, schools, all being a consideration. So we understand that. The thing that I just want to advise on is that here, one of the biggest draws to Marin is the fact that 85 to 86% of the county is open space, land trusts, national parks, state parks, county parks, open space preserve. So that means there's just 15% left where there's homes. So folks will come in and they'll start looking in southern Marin, and then they realize they can't find what they want and they come further north because your money gets more for you as you migrate north. So just be aware of that. Okay, so now the listing comes on and you're interested in it. So that listing typically, maybe not typically, that's too strong of a word, but 40% of the time it's been marketed before it hits Zillow or Realtor.com or the web. But just network of agents, because most of the agents here in the county that are successful are part of networking groups, whether it's a bus tour where they're going out and touring properties before they hit the market, sometimes to offer opinion on price, sometimes to offer opinions on you have to paint this, you've got to do the front yard. That occurs a lot here. The community is really tight with agents, so a lot of the times there's a period where the property will not be on, again, Zillow, Realtor.com, the web. But it's being talked about by agents. So just be aware of that. And that's important because it's helpful if you have an agent that's helping you through the process. So then it hits the market, typically, not always, but typically Tuesday, Wednesday hits the market. Photography's been done, it's been staged, all the pre-market preparation has been done, hits the MLS, and then it gets shot out to sites like Zillow and Realtor.com, Trulia, sites of that nature. So then they're going to start showing. It's going to show over the weekend, and then Tuesday or Wednesday they're going to be looking at offers. It happens that quickly. And sometimes they'll have verbiage in there for the agents where it'll say seller will entertain an offer before the offer date. So just be aware of that. That can happen. So again, that's one of the reasons why it's important if you're working with a local agent, so they understand that. A preemptive offer is what it's called. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. So then they're looking at offers that Tuesday or that Wednesday, just playing that through. And then you write your offer, assuming your offer is accepted. Then what happens next is typically you have your offers accepted. The clock starts the next day. So if you have a 21-day close, the next day would be the first day of that 21 days, or the 25-day close, those being the typical close dates, 21 to 25 days. So the next day starts day one. So then 3 business days, you have to have your deposit in. Typically that's 3% of the purchase price. And then inspection contingencies, you should do them whenever you can. But oftentimes in this market that we're in right now, and it changes often because a year ago this wasn't the case, but right now it's not uncommon for there to be no inspection contingencies from some of the competitive offers that you're going to be up against. Be aware of that. But if you have a contingency period, usually it's 8 to 12 days for inspections. So there's that. And then you'll have a loan and an appraisal contingency. Typically that's 12 to 14 days, so just be aware of that. Then once that's occurred, say, let's just assume you have a 25-day close. Okay, you've removed your inspection contingencies, you've removed your appraisal contingency and your loan contingency. Then it's kind of you're idle for a little while, a few days. And then once you get like day 18, you're going to wire your money, the rest of the money that you have, to escrow for the rest of the down payment and closing cost. And you're going to sign right around that 18-day mark, 20-day mark. And then you have to get it approved by the doc drawer. The doc drawer approves everything. The funder approves everything. Your loan funds, say that's again day 23, and then it records the next day at the county, and then you're the new owner. That's typically how it goes with that part of the process, and just kind of expectations. And that'll be important too, because if you didn't secure the property, you'll just want to know, okay, how long does it take to close, so I can see if you're not talking to an agent and you're just doing your own due diligence at this point, when is it going to close? When will that show? So just be aware of that. The next thing is in relation to inspections. Typically in this county, if it's not a FSBO, so first sale by owner, which is very uncommon, usually it's going to be listed by an agent that's local most often. And so that agent will have advised their seller to do a sewer lateral inspection, to do a home inspection, to do a pest inspection, a city resale inspection if it's in one of the municipalities that require one. They'll have all that. They'll have a full disclosure package, transfer disclosure statement, seller property questionnaire, all those things. And then you'll be able to review those so that it gives you an idea of what you want to offer. Do you feel comfortable, making an offer based on those reports? Even though your broker is going to require or advise you not to typically, it's still not uncommon to have happen. So you're making all those determinations. So just be aware of that. You can still do your own reports if you like, but typically they'll be available for you. Oftentimes the listing agent and the seller will want you to see the home before they provide those, because they want to get you in there and involved in the property, although that's not always the case. So then next thing, in relation to winning the property. So in this county, if you win the property, that's the deal oftentimes. Sometimes you can negotiate things, but just to help set your expectations in an effort to be helpful, like if you secure the property, that's the deal. And then that's part of the reason too why the seller and the listing agent provide all the disclosures up front, is because they want everybody to educate themselves on the disclosures before they write an offer, so that they're taking that into consideration when they're writing their offer. And that's reflective of the price that you're offering. Homes that are sold in California, if they're not new, it's as is. Does that mean you have to accept it if you find something you don't like? No, but it's just stating or making you aware that there's no guarantees or warranties with the home when you're purchasing and it's used. So just be aware, you win the property, and that's oftentimes the deal. Now, if the seller didn't do their own inspections, which can happen, then you can renegotiate those things that you find that's new information. Or if they even did their own inspections and some things they didn't find, their inspectors didn't find, and your inspector does, then you can try to renegotiate those things. Sometimes that seller is going to have a backup offer because there's such limited inventory here. And so if there's a backup offer and you're trying to negotiate terms on things, new information that you've found, that listing agent, understandably so, is going to say, hey, I have a backup offer here, and they're willing to just take everything as is. Do you want this, or do you want to walk? And then you can still walk, cancel escrow as long as it's within your contingency period. Get your deposit back. Requires mutual agreement, but the sellers just want to get the property back on the market, so shouldn't see any issues there. I never have. So just, kind of be aware of that. You get your property, you've won it, that's the deal. And you're oftentimes lucky here. And just to touch on a few things, like the date now today is February 21st, 2021. And so we've written on a number of offers, and so properties, I should say, secured some and not secured others. One, there was 9 offers. Another, that was in San Rafael, Terra Linda. We wrote on one in Tam Valley, which is Mill Valley, and that one there was 20 offers. Novato, 19 offers. Most of the cases when there's this much interest, full disclosure package, and the property just shows beautifully well. So that's the kind of the tempo of the market, which is why I was emphasizing if you secure the property, that's the deal here in Marin. So the next thing that's more often or more common nowadays is there'll be a rent back to the seller. It can be a short rent back of 29 days or as much as 59 days. If you go over the 59-day mark for you as a buyer, if you're utilizing financing, typically your lender won't allow for more than 59 days for that seller to stay in the property after the close of escrow on a rent back, because then that makes the property an investment property and it's going to cost you more, and the interest rate's typically going to be higher. But that's really common right now. The next thing is backup. A backup offer. So somebody else has won the property, you want to get in backup position. I've had it succeed, but again, going back to that, what I was talking about earlier, usually if you're the listing agent just uses the backup offer to kind of coax along the first position buyer and their buyer's agent. But it's not a bad idea to get in backup position, because if it does fall out because of financing, that's fine. It's just not as common in this area right now for first position offers to fall out, but backup offer is something to consider. And then last, and I'm going to end with this, local agent. I would encourage you to use a local agent, whether it's me and my wife. I work on a team with my wife. She's great. She's a investigator. She knows, she's always networking with agents, finding out what's coming up and doing all that. So it's, use a local agent is what I'm trying to say. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope you found this helpful. All the best.